Well, Mike, on
You're
your
telling me.
side, how good did it feel to finally perform these songs again?
I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like part of it is like going from the band being like an indefinite hiatus or whatever it was. Like we didn't put names on it. It was just like, yeah, we're not doing anything. From it being that to like standing on a stage and doing it. I think there were all these weird little moments that were so surreal. One of them just getting on a stage and doing it, getting in a room and doing it for the first time felt so cool. That was actually more stressful though for some reason. Like I felt like because it was so rough, you know, it was like, I hope we've set aside enough time for us to, you know, to get this right.
Yeah, there was that moment for sure.
And then, but that's normal. I went home and I was like, oh, I'm stressed, but I guess that's normal. It'd be
because
weird.
you guys haven't played the songs in so long too, so that's.
And we changed.
Yep.
We were changing.
We
We were changing keys on songs that we played for 20 years. I had to relearn Breaking the Habit from scratch practically.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, just because it had to be a different key. But yeah, I think the most important thing is that like for me, I can probably speak for, you know, the other guys too. It's like, you know, having a thing that you felt like it was taken away and then being able to get it back. Like, oh, you can't play shows as Linkin Park anymore. Even though Linkin Park is like part of my DNA. It's like, you know, when everybody's got like a core identity diagram that you like. There's stuff like when you draw your little like this is who I am. Like if you ask anybody, like if you were to sit down with a piece of paper and like write down the things that make you, that's a crazy exercise if you think about it. Like shit, like it's your like the things you love to do, your family. Like do you have kids? Do you have some love? You have spouse, whatever. Like the things that make you and your beliefs and blah, blah, like really right in there in the middle of it is Linkin Park for me. And that's, there are other things too. There are many other things too, but to have that one out was painful. Mm-hmm. So to have it back in was like, I mean, there's nothing like it. There never will be anything like it.
And to be fair, so many of the other things are connected to Linkin Park. So much of one's identity, life, everything.
Yeah.
And like your music.
Like you, for example, that you have a 18-inch Linkin Park tattoo on your back. I know what a big fan, like it's so meaningful to you that the band is playing these shows.
But the other thing too is it does matter to so many people, right? Like there is magnitude to the art that you make. Like it is true.
I've seen there was on our YouTube page, one of the first episodes of we have this thing called LP TV, and one of the first episodes was about the first few shows, LA, New York, and there's a fan who has all of our Chester and Rob included the original lineup, our signatures on has them tattooed on his arm, and I don't remember how many shows. He's been to over 50 Linkin Park shows. He's got tons and tons of Linkin Park related tattoos, among other things. And one of the things he said was like, he's like, I've got 2 spaces about like right here. This is where Emily and Colin are going to go. And I was like, wow, that's a crazy way to start this tour.
Yeah.
Right?
In that moment, do you realize that Linkin Park is actually bigger than any group or one person? It's like kind of a lifestyle and it's a culture
I learned
thing.
that, yeah.
And I say this with respect. Like
How does that feel? Is that
I knew it was big, but like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like shit. You know?
I mean, you could
crazy.
easily make the case that it's bigger than you. It's bigger than Rob. It's bigger than ever.
Yeah.
That goes without saying though, because it's like even when we were talking about the lyrics and people like coming up with their own like identifying with the songs a different way. We make a thing, it goes out into the world, and they connect with it on their terms, and that part of it becomes. I mean, that half of it, I don't know. That part of it is their thing now. So it's out of our hands, and it's the world's property. right? So it's Linkin Park memes, it's Linkin Park tattoos, it's animated music videos with the people are editing Naruto with Linkin Park stuff. Like, I don't know. People do all kinds of, like, they make crazy things that are their, you know, the way they're relating to the music. They're having their experiences. They're going on road trips listening to it. They're playing it for their children and having an emotional moment, a memory that they are creating that is completely a bubble that's their own bubble. And that if they remember, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Totally.
Kids, I watched a couple, we were playing a show in LA, and I watched a dad and his daughter, and she was like, this was years ago though, but it was like, she was probably like 13, 14.
Probably your first concert.
And when we played the newer stuff, she was elbowing him and going like this, blah, blah, blah. You could see her doing it. And then we played like One Step Closer, and he was like, okay. And he's like, has his arm around her. He's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, okay. Like, this is what, like, she was, like, they were coming at it from a generational, with a generational gap in between, and they both loved the same thing, and they were having this wonderful moment. It was really sweet. But I left there going like, oh wow, this is what it's all about now. It changed. Like, in the early days it was one thing, but now it's this thing. And I don't know where it's going to be 10 years from now.